All right, and we are live. Welcome back to Pistons Jack Fan Reacts, where we've got a win to talk about today, a pretty fun game, a Cade Cunningham 40 piece, Pistons win, uh, plenty to talk through on today's show. I've got my man Cody joining me in just a moment, and then also Kyle's going to jump on after Cody. So, yeah, DM me now if you want to pop up here, talk about the game, talk about the past couple of weeks of Pistons hoops. Uh, We've got about an hour to stream today, so I'm going to bring up my man Cody now, and we'll talk through a pretty fun game. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro? I like the new digs. I like the new background you got here, dude. Pretty fancy.
Thanks, bro. I mean, that's why I took a bit longer because I went to jump on, and I'm like, oh man, I got to that thing across the bottom. I've got to change all the details. So,
When did
no,
you start doing that?
only last stream. So
Okay, so it's brand new. Okay,
just,
gotcha.
yeah, I just decided to mix it up a bit, try level us up a little bit. So,
Looks good. Looks
yeah,
good,
no,
man.
appreciate it, bro. Thank you. How you feeling?
It was a good game. It was a good game for sure. I mean, the Mavs are obviously depleted without Luca, but those are games you have to win at home, especially when you lost three in a row. Two of them in really ugly fashion. So you couldn't continue that slide. I was really disappointed with the first quarter. I know you didn't get to watch. I thought their defense
Yeah.
was terrible, but you give up 32 in the first quarter and then only 6 or 70 for the rest of the game. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. I missed, yeah. I mean, I feel like I missed most of the first half, to be honest. But no, it seemed like what the bits I did see, they were, yeah, I was surprised to see the Mavs get out to that big kind of score in the first quarter. Cause like we were DMing and we are talking about the defense really dropping off. So I guess from that point we started chatting, they figured it out a little bit. Um, can I just ask, before we get into the game, just Cade being selected as an all-star, I feel like we knew it was coming, but just like I'm just really keen to hear your perspective, just purely as like a fan of Cade and the team. Like,
I mean, he
did you
obviously
feel any
deserves it,
different?
right?
Yeah,
He obviously deserves it. I think he's had a great year, and he's been really a huge driver in this turnaround. I mean, we'll see what they finish at the All Star break. Obviously, it's not too far away, so they'll be right around 500. You would think, because I don't know how many games we have left for the All Star break. It's not too many.
yeah, like three maybe or something,
Yeah,
three or
exactly. I
four.
was gonna say two or three. So I mean, it's well deserved. It's well deserved. And I'm hoping that this All Star selection in the back half of the season gets him more respect from the officials, because obviously he still has one of the worst whistles of any star player, quote
Oh,
unquote,
it's crazy.
ascending star player in the NBA. I mean, if Brunson got hit the way Cade did, Brunson would have 17 free throws a game. Like, Brunson would never stop. Um,
Are we
he would
like
never
just at the
stop
point
producing.
where Cade's just got to start like almost like flopping, or what do you want to call it? Like just exaggerating everything. Like I
Well,
don't
the
know
thing that
what he
sucks
has to
about
do.
Cade is he's big and strong. So it's like
Yeah.
refs don't give him the benefit of the doubt when you're not a vanilla midget like Jalen Brunson, little tiny boy for NBA standards. So if you're not a little skinny, frail man like Jalen Brunson or Trey Young, you don't get the benefit of those calls.
We've got
Um,
some so
but
someone just said in here, Adam goes, this dude's robed up like Hugh Hefner. Where's the cigar, my boy?
this is just a flat. This is a flatter, dude. We're a
Um,
flannel, dude. Sweater
hey,
flannel.
it looks warm. I'll give you that. It looks
It is nice.
cozy.
It is nice. And I was about to head out. Like I told you before the game, I was like, I gotta go get food. So I was about to head out for food. So I was like, I throw in the flannel. But yeah, no. Back to Cade. Yeah, he really deserves it. Obviously, there's you know, very few people who have not been all stars that deserve it more than Cade. Obviously, everybody's up in arms over Lamelo, all over social media. But like, you don't get the benefit of being an all star when you're on a horrible team. you just don't get that benefit. You don't get to
How
be an
many?
all-star when
Yeah.
your team is at the bottom of the league. Like
Well,
if the Pistons were, I think honestly, if the Pistons were, let's say they had 14 wins, I don't know if Cade gets a nod. I don't know if they go that direction because you have to be contributing to winning to be an all-star in my mind.
I
So
agree. And I think you're so right. If they're at 14 wins now, because I think we're at 24 and 24 now.
yeah,
Honestly, man, if they're at like 17 wins, I'm like 17, 18 wins, I'm still feeling pretty similar, like worried about him getting selected.
yeah,
But yeah,
exactly. Like, and obviously the benefit that Cade has over LaMelo to a degree is that like the Pistons were so bad and it was
yeah,
so well documented, like 28 games in a row, like the laughing stock of the league, all of NBA Twitter and NBA media roasting them for the Wingstop thing that they had, like just they were so bad that like Kate, like because the Hornets were bad, but they weren't like that bad, you know. Um,
yeah.
and quickly shout out Kyle Kuzma. Don't be that team. Don't be that team.
What are they at 17 losses now or 16? Wait.
16 in a row. After
So,
that game last night where they were down by 40 to the Lakers
so
in like
did
the third quarter.
did the Pistons? So we obviously had the 28 game losing streak last year, but did we ever get to double digit losses in a row again?
I don't think so.
I
No.
don't think so. Like, no, I'm not necessarily saying the Pistons are better than that Wizards team, but they're getting awfully close to being
Oh no,
worse.
the Wizards. I don't know how many wins the Wizards have, but they are gonna be right at like where the Pistons are. And if they sell off like they should do at the deadline, they might be worse than the Pistons this year. They might.
that's that's
Like if they
incredible.
get rid of what little tradable talent they have, they could be worse. But yeah,
And
that's
I
basically my thoughts on Cade. Well deserved.
yeah
Definitely should be in it. Remarkable turnaround from where we were last year to this year. Obviously, the leading catalyst in that. I mean, I and then you know what? He backed it up tonight. He gets named an All Star, and he doesn't come out and have a because he has had a stretch of bad games where
yeah
it looks like teams are starting to figure him out. They're hard hedging every screen, double teaming him, trapping him, just knowing that the Pistons don't have any secondary creators. And tonight he just took over. He was just like, I'm gonna. It was actually kind of crazy because when Blaha said, and he's up to 18, I was like, what? I was watching the game pretty intently, and I was like, Cade is 18 right now. It was weird. I was like, and then I started paying more attention to it because I was like, oh, he's got 18 already. But I was like, how does he have 18 already? Like it was that first 18 points was like a blur to me. Maybe it's because I was so mad about the defense that I wasn't as locked in on Cade, just like scoring over and over and over. But yeah, that was funny to me. I was like 18.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean 40 points. I don't know the rest of his ancillary stats, but I mean he had a good game.
No, he was awesome. And I think he had, like you kind of mentioned the games he'd been struggling in. Like, even when he was getting high 20s recently, it was coming on like 10 of 30 or like 11 of 32 shots at felt. Whereas tonight, he still got up 30 shots, but he hit 17. So, like, I mean, and he took over, like you said. So,
But that just shows you again how criminal his whistle is. That he needs to make 17 field goals to get to 40 points. Like, go look at the go look. Oh, I can't hear you, Jack. Yeah, no, I lost you, volume wise. I don't know. Can chat hear Jack? I can't hear him at all. I can't hear you. Yeah, no, they can't hear you, Jack. This is the second time this happened. Except last time Jack
yeah,
was completely. Wait,
you hear me now?
there you are.
Yeah, I think my microphone died.
Okay.
Yeah, it's died. But so you got the AirPod audio now, which I think is still fine for everyone. But yeah, no, I could hear you. I was like, what the hell? We're good though. We're good. So back to what you're saying about Cade.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly lost my train of thought when we went when we went out.
Um,
We went
no,
out.
you're good.
Well,
I can't even remember what I was saying either, but I want to actually just talking about another guard. Mike, I think brings it up here. Sasser in that fourth quarter, like that lob he threw to JD, I was like, whoa, who is this? Like one-handed, like scoop pass on point. Like missed a lot of threes, but I thought one of his better games definitely like facilitating. And I think Koo mentioned it on Twitter, like just getting into the paint, which is something the teams struggle with when Cade's on the floor. Like thoughts on his play?
no, Sasser was good. Because I messaged you at the end of the third quarter. And I said this. I have a bad feeling about this game because Cade's going to need to sit till the 6 minute mark. And what did the Mavs do right away? 8 point game down to 2 immediately, like within
Yeah,
a minute. And I was like, okay,
here we go.
like Cade's gonna have to come back in with 8 minutes left or 9 minutes left, and he's gonna be gassed. Like, but Sasser was the one who really steadied the ship there. He really did. He like you said, he was getting in the paint, he was getting paint touches, hitting floaters, good passes to JD. Um, yeah, he really settled things down because I was like, oh god, here we go. Tobias is the number one option on the court. What are we gonna do? Like this is gonna get ugly fast, and it did. But then Sasser really settled the ship, made the right reads, hit some floaters, some good oops to JD. He played a really clean fourth quarter. He really did. Yeah, Sasser's got a place in the NBA. I don't know what it would look like on a. I mean, obviously, like on a championship contending team, he's probably not. He'd be on the bench, but he's probably not playing. But he definitely has
Yeah,
a place in the league. He's a good enough player that he belongs in the NBA for sure. I don't know what his
yeah,
long-term outlook will look like with the Pistons as they continue to acquire, better, more I would say playable talent in today's NBA. But when he's out there, man, I mean he's not a he's not like a giant net negative. Obviously defensively, like right when he checked in, what was his name? Golly, one of the Mavs bench players. I'm blanking on it right now.
Exum.
No, no, no. He's a guard
Ooh,
too.
uh, uh, not Jaden Hardy. No, he only played seven
No,
minutes. Quentin Grimes.
no, no,
Who was it? Kessler Edwards? No, he's not a guard.
no,
We're going through all of them. Omax? He's not a guard.
no.
Who is it? That's not the guard.
Maybe a forward?
Najee Marshall.
Yes, Najee
Yeah.
Marshall. There we go. I was like, we'll hit it eventually.
We got there.
I was literally blanking so hard. I don't normally do that, but yeah, Najee Marshall. The first second he got in, he got a paint touch against Sasser, and it was a bunny. Like
Yeah.
because Sasser was giving up like 4 inches. Like you got
Yeah.
nothing. So he's gonna get those times on the court where longer, bigger teams take advantage of him. But like offensively, he can play, man. And honestly, with another team, or even if the Pistons had another setup, he would probably be doing less of the ball handling duties. He would be playing more off guard, spot up shooting, beating people off the dribble on closeouts. Like he's not a primary ball handler. We all know that. But
Yeah.
like I think he's doing fairly well for playing out of what I would think would be his ideal role.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like just for this season only, like because like I think I mean a lot of people when I've mentioned not me specifically, but when you see people mentioning like about getting another point guard, this is more on Instagram to be honest, but like everyone's like, oh Sasser, no, he's gonna lose his role. We've got Sasser, but it's like I just think he'll be so much better off next to a point guard. Because like you said, he's playing out of position. Like I think he just needs to come down and his only goal or only thing he has to worry about is scoring or just like moving the ball, not like running an offense type of thing.
Yeah,
Like, he was good
exactly.
tonight, but I'm with you in the sense of like he's still playing out of position or role, whatever you want to, however you want to put it. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
But yeah, overall, great night by Sass. Great night for sure.
any other takeaways?
From
What
the
do you want
game
to talk about?
itself,
Could be anything, man. You can
I
talk game.
mean, like I said, the defense really stepped up.
Yeah,
I thought JD brought a lot of energy after the first quarter. Um, and honestly, I'm gonna shout out Paul Reed, dude. Paul Reed is just as we like to say about white running backs in the NFL, a lunch pail guy, first in, first out kind of guy. Just a gym rat kind of guy. He just does all the little things. He brings the energy. Obviously not a perfect player, but God, does he just work really, really hard on both ends.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to say about it. I love watching Paul Reed play basketball because obviously we know not the most talented big in the league, not the most size for a big in the league, but does he just work on every possession? He's constantly helping, hedging, getting back to his guy, trying to rebound. On offense, he's trying to move the ball. If he gets an open shot, he takes it. And he hits a lot of those 10 to 14-point jumpers. I mean, I love Paul Reed, dude. I know he's not the main reason for tonight's win, obviously. That's Cade, but I think he really helped settle them in defensively in the second quarter when JD was not playing a lick of defense. Nobody was. I shouldn't even say just JD. I don't want to pick on him because he was not the only person who was just playing Olay defense and giving easy driving lanes and then easy kicks to open threes. That was pretty much everyone. But yeah, I like Paul. I love Paul Reed today. And then I'm going to shout out Tobias as well. I thought he was steady. I thought Tobias was steady. Really steady. Made the shots he needed to. Got to the line a few times. Rebounded pretty well. Had that ginormous block. So those are I guess those players were my main takeaway. Paul Reed, Cade, and Sasser.
Yeah.
And geez, I'm blanking on everything tonight. It's been a long week.
He finished.
It's been a long week.
You're good, man. Nah, that Tobias block. He actually, like, the way he closed out on Marshall and then actually recovered and blocked the shot. I was like, what the hell? Did not know he had that in him anymore. But
yeah, because he kind of olayed him quick.
Yeah,
like Nazi kind of pumped, did it like a stop on a dime, quick pump, and Tobias went right by him, and he recovered back. I was like, yeah, well, good for you, Tobias.
Didn't know he had that in him. But all good shouts. Paul Reed definitely, he was awesome. You just the way, I mean, comparing him and JD defensively, I feel like they're just different type of athletes. But Paul Reed, you just notice the quickness immediately, the way he will jump out and I don't know if you call it showing or blitzing and then recovering. He's so quick at it. It's, I don't know. I know Bryce Simon, Motor City Hoops, talks about that a lot, and I've really just noticed it tonight.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. He's that's something JD just can't do. He cannot hard heads like that and blitz a guard and get back. He can't. It's any guard that's an elite passer is dumping that ball over the top every time.
Facts. Yeah. So it's just so noticeable. I'm not even saying it's bad on JD because, like you said, he just can't do that. But it's almost like a nice change of pace to see that and have that option. So I feel like he's better than Stewart at that. I like Stu switching, but yeah, no, Paul Reed brings a lot defensively.
I would like to see because they don't really ask Stu to do that much.
Yeah.
They don't
they normally just have him in drop.
Because I mean, no, Stu's just normally a switch on the pick and roll. He's just normally a switch defender, which he's really good at. But Paul Reed can't switch, so that's why they don't ask Paul Reed to switch. If a guard gets Paul Reed, a guard's blowing Paul Reed in the smithereens. Any of these really quick, fast switch guards, Stu's good at staying in front of them. But I'd like to see what they could do with blitzing Stu more. Honestly, I'd be curious.
Yeah,
I've never really seen him do it too much.
Yeah.
So that's just maybe something interesting. But speaking on Stu quickly, he's got to calm down, man. He has to.
Yeah, we spoke about it last stream, but feel free to share your thoughts.
Well, I saw some posts you can't have it both ways, and you can't. But you can be really intense and not dumb. There's plenty of players in the NBA who are really intense defenders who aren't idiots and just do stupid stuff. And unfortunately now, much like Draymond, Stu has a reputation.
Yeah.
And refs a really hard foul that a player without a reputation wouldn't get a flagrant for. Stu's gonna get flagrants for those. Because they're just he's dirty. He doesn't he does. He's a hothead. Like we're gonna give him a flagrant like until he stops doing it. And like the thing about Draymond, like that Warriors team was so good, they could overcome it, and he gave them a real edge.
Yeah.
Like whereas like I think Stu, if the Pistons were like Warriors, like 2019 Warriors good, like that era Warriors good, 2017, 2018, 2019 Warriors good. I mean, I wouldn't have much of a problem with it, but you need him. The Warriors when they had KD, Clay, and Steph, they could win without Draymond any night, any given night. Those three would just go absolutely insane. They'd win, but like he was the enforcer, he was the energy, he was the bad guy, the tough guy. Like it was perfect for that team. But Stu was too important to not be playing games, and luckily, they got away with it this time. But how many times are you going to get away with it when your talent level is 20 to 14, 13 in the league realistically, somewhere in that range? You're not one of the best teams of all time like the Warriors were when Draymond was acting an absolute fool. Like you can't just act that way when you're on a team that's 500.
Yeah. No, I everything he says is very true. Like I can't push back against it all. And like the thing that was disappointing for me was like it was in the first quarter. So like he checked in and immediately had just like, like I'm not justifying any of it, but say that's in like the end of the third, early of the fourth, it still sucks. But there's something about like just before the game's even started, like when you've already like mentally defeated like that it was not good. So like, yeah, I mean, I said enough on the last stream, but I agree with what you're saying. Like you can't get yourself suspended. Like it's bad enough losing you for 3/4 of a big game, but then like to miss the following game, like you're really, really, really hurting your team. And it's just at the end of the day, like it is selfish, kind of, to be honest. So
yeah, and it's the other thing is
it's a tough word, but like it just kind of is because you're so important to the team.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that like now the Pacers know that they're deep in your skull.
Yeah.
Like they're
oh man.
When freaking Miles Turner's going on freaking Twitter and tweeting out a picture of him as Darth Vader.
I just decided to bring Carl up, by the way.
Oh no, it's fun. But like
keep going.
Pacers, no, they're deep in Stu's head. Deep in it.
Oh, absolutely. Feel free to chime in, Carl.
Yeah, that's my thing with Stu. He doesn't have the mental fortitude to like. It's not even like dumb. It's just he's just too easily baited. He needs to go to counseling, get some emotional health, and then he can have like a healthy, uncontrollable aggression. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel like many people would say Draymond Green needs to go to counseling, but I think the Warriors would say during that era would be like, no, Draymond's perfect for the squad. We love it.
I think it's like, I think the Pacers that was like too far, but I think he is who he is. Like this is just who Stu is. He's in year 5. Like I don't think he's changing much. You just hope he can rein it in. And I personally love it, but I know a lot of people don't. But that's
well, my issue is not even some of it's the double-handed like forearm box out. It's like put your big butt around and use real technique to get a rebound. Like you don't like no one teaches boxing out with your back turned to the basket and push like if you just stop doing that, that would be one less foul a game and probably 2 more rebounds a game if you just use good technique.
Sorry, I'll let you go, Cade. I like that. When you're playing, like, I love getting, like, doing little shit like that to get under the opponent. But Stu, yeah, he does take it too far. But I love all that little stuff. Like,
but it only works if you're not getting even more pissed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just yeah, we're just hashing it out.
That's like if Stu was like level-headed and like laughing about it, cool. Like that he's just like a UFC fighter or like a boxer that's just like I know I'm in your head. Like I know I'm deep in your, but like he's getting more angry than the guys who he's doing it to in many cases. Yeah. So it's like and the whole guns at the Pacers bench, like what do we like I don't know if that's what he meant by it, but like
Oh, that's great.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love Stu's intensity. There's no one else on the team that has nearly that much intensity. Like, when it comes to that, like, enforcer mentality, like, I'll be the bad guy. Everybody else can, kind of. But, like, that's the thing about Bill Laimbeer and Rick Mahorn back in the day. They would have those fouls, those hard fouls, and they'd smile after. They'd let guys get right in their face. And they'd just be smiling. There was no pushing back, really. Like, those guys just did it to get a competitive edge. I feel like Stu does not. He takes it way past, I'm getting a competitive edge, and, whoa, I'm actually angry. And, like, I'm actually, like, mad.
I think it comes from the same place. The Pistons just aren't good enough. Like you said earlier, I think it comes from wanting to win and like wanting to have your teams back and like intimidate people, which is like similar. But I think, like you said, Cody, the Pistons just aren't good enough. Like Draymond got away with it because they were crazy good. I think that's I would
agree with you, Jack, except for like one, knowing his background, knowing some of the things that we know about his story. Like when he's talking about catch me outside afterwards, and he's not joking, when he's running through the tunnel to see if he can get LeBron after the like. Dude is actually trying to beat someone's like face it. And that's my thing. It's not just he's competitive and doesn't like to lose. Like there's something that switches where it's like, okay, now I'm just mad at you and I'm trying to kill you because you said something that you shouldn't have said. Like that's what I'm talking about.
Incident as well, where he punched a guy in the face pregame.
Right. Again, we don't know what was said. Right. And that's the thing. They all came out and said, well, they said some crazy stuff, but the fact that, and I know Devon Ambitious said it's not that deep. It's like the reality is, though, if the coaches are coming out and saying like stuff was said and it's so much that it gets under his skin that he can't just play the game and keep it loose, like teams know that they can say stuff and will get him so far beyond and like crazy, like bull in a china shop, that he has no self-awareness or self-control. Like that's my issue. It's not that he's competitive, not that he's kind of crazy. Like that's good. It's that he doesn't have whatever it is. Like they can pull him out of the game so quick, and it becomes like, oh, we're on the streets, and I need to beat your face.
Yeah, because like it's well documented that Rick Mahorn was also like a real life badass. Like people did not mess with Rick Mahorn. Like people probably wouldn't mess with Isaiah Stewart. But the difference was Rick Mahorn, he held it in check. It was all for the competitive advantage. Like I just watched maybe when the Pistons were on a little win streak and I was getting excited about the team, I sat down and watched the Bad Boys documentary again. And like you could just like everybody talked about how much they hated Mahorn, and like they cut to him and he's just laughing. Like just like, oh, I did that to everyone. I got into everyone's head. I feel like Stu, to Kyle's point, just takes it about 12 steps further than that. He can't, like when he gets out of his head, there's no getting him back.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. No, that's all fair points. Good conversation. It's.
Don't get me wrong. I would love the Pistons to go back to being the bad boys again. Like we're the team everybody hates. We don't care, like that kind of thing. But like on the court, and like within the competitive bounds of the game. Not like I'm going to see you in the parking lot. Not I'm going to punch you in the face if I see you, or I'm going to do worse if I see you. I'm fine with the Pistons being the most hated team in the NBA. I would relish that, actually. That's fun to me. But just like on the court, hard fouls.
Yeah, I will.
Not the over the top stuff.
No, last thing, and like, unless Kyle, you want to add something after this, but like, I will say, I think I get the comparison to the Bad Boys. Like, obviously, I think it's a bit different in this day and age, though, because of social media, the pressure, the scrutiny. Anytime Stu does something, you go on any social media platform, he is posted everywhere, and it's all people just like, and like he's earned this reputation, but it's like the amount of stuff that he would see about himself, I think that feeds into the anger. Whereas the Bad Boys, like, what did we even have? Like, barely TV, bro. Like, so I think, I'm not making excuses for him. I just think, like, I think that's where, I think he does something in him. I agree with both of you that, like, it goes too far. But also think, like, the overall pressure and people, like, the whole NBA community on social media is just, like, Stu is a nutcase, and he's earned that reputation, unfortunately. But I think it's like that's why I think he crosses a certain line a little bit more as well, because it's just like comes from everywhere as soon as he does the slightest slip up. But I'm not making excuses. I just think it's a little bit different.
No, that's real.
I agree with you guys that the intentions between the Bad Boys guys and Stu might be.
But knowing what I know and watching as many interviews as I have of Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer, they would relish that. They would relish that ish.
But they haven't been through what Stu's been through, so they don't know that. That's all.
No,
I'm
but
saying.
like you,
they're
like, again,
always going to be different.
Go watch Rick Mahorn interviews. That guy doesn't care what anyone says. That guy,
right? But again, I think to Jack's point, and Stu was a top recruit, in his class. So he's faced the scrutiny and the exposure that those guys never had to deal with coming up, right? And so to Jack's point, I agree with you. I think there's so much more scrutiny and pressure, and like when you hear so much about yourself, like that starts feeding into we're way out of basketball now. Like, and we can.
But no, it's hard though for me because
I'm not saying that Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer are not different than Stu. They are, and they are just personality. They are, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Cody. But I'm saying but part of what shapes you is your experiences, and like Stu has been shaped by like the exposure and some of that stuff. I think that has fed into it, and that's even more my point is because of all of that. That's why he needs to go to counseling. He needs to get his head straight so that he can deal with that, because it's here. It is what it is. He can either, learn from it, grow from it, and get the help that he needs to like be able to not have that flip a switch. Like he's got a kid, like all that stuff. Like it would do him good to be able to emotionally mature from people can say stuff and I can still be competitive and prove it on the court and not feel like I have to go defend my honor out back. Like that's the stuff that is different.
And the last thing I'll say about it, like, and then we can move on or whatever. But like for me, like if Stu didn't act the way he did, no one would talk about him. No one.
Yeah.
Not a soul. He'd be another random NBA player in the league who's just he's a role player. You don't see people tweeting about
absolutely
a random. You can pick any random.
Najee Marshall.
You can pick any random role player on any team.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about them on Twitter. Stu gets talked about because of the way he acts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like, to use that as an excuse for him to act even worse is crazy to me, because the only reason he gets talked about is because
it's not an excuse.
Crazy.
It's just a fact. It's like no one's justifying it. I'm just saying
it's a factor.
That's why he is who he is in a way. Like he's earned this reputation himself. I'm just saying, like, my only reason I brought the social media stuff up is to say that I think I'm not saying what you're saying about Mahorn and the other guys wrong. I just think they're just different times, different eras, different exposure to things, which I think leads to maybe Stu being even more aggressive and crossing a certain line because he's just got this constant thing around him, which he does cause himself clearly. But I think his experience, like Kyle said, is different. But
No, I get that. I think that to Kyle's point,
I'm not saying you're wrong or anything.
It is like it is probably time for him to seek professional help.
And I'll be fair. Maybe he does that, and I don't know the guy, so I don't want to be too hard. I'm saying that more as an example of just like it does cross the line.
I think it's one of the best things ever. I see a psychologist, but I won't tell. I don't. Yeah, I just think like. I wonder. He probably is, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's where I want to be fair. Like it's clear that's the issue more is that it becomes more than basketball for him very quickly.
Yeah,
and it's this: I have to defend my honor. You're saying something that I need. Like as a man, I got to fight you now. Like we're seeing that come onto the court in a way that's just out. It's more than the competitive thing, and so. If he could bring that in, it'd be much more effective. That's all. I think we all agree there. So
I agree.
I've loved this conversation, but I still get some basketball now.
So let's go. Cade had a 40-point game tonight. Let's talk about. I want to talk about tonight's game.
Kyle, just give us your immediate thoughts on the game. Go.
Cade we needed all 40 from Cade. really. Like that was like he had to take over. I agree. It was like a quiet night, but it was like all of a sudden, oh yeah, he needed to do that. I think, yeah, the fourth quarter was huge when Cade was coming out. I was on stream with Koo, and it was like we got to see what's going to happen. Of course, within 2 minutes, the Mavs have pulled it back in, and then Sasser starts getting in the lane. He's had those 2 floaters in the lane back to back, and was like, that's been the issue with the Pistons bench for most of the season is whenever Cade's not on the floor. I guess since Ivy went down, I should say, the offense is hopefully Bees hits some tough shots. It's like, let's just get him a bunch of threes and get him some tough shots. And typically he makes them. But tonight, like they just don't get in the paint. They don't put pressure on the rim. And so they get hard. It's hard to get good offense. And they did that. Sasser was able to do that. He had a great game. That definitely stood out to me. I feel like there's something else that you guys were talking about before that I also noticed, but yeah, it was a fun win.
It was. I'm going to go back and watch it because I feel like the first half was a blur. But no, it was. I mean, like you guys said, the start of that fourth quarter immediately gets to like, was it 2 points, 3 points? I was like, oh no. I just didn't want like a 4-game losing streak. Cody, you're normally good with this stuff. Have they lost 4 in a row since the 0-4 start? Like, I just feel like that would be a real setback if we were talking about 4 losses in a row.
I don't think so.
So
yeah.
No, I don't think they. Yeah, I don't think they.
Yeah. So I think like just to get this win, and I don't know how the Mavs have been going without Luka, but I swear I see them beating OKC sometimes. I don't know if that's just that thing they have.
We didn't have Lively either.
True.
Which hurt.
So like the Pistons should have won, but I mean they ended up winning by what, 15? So
I mean the Mavs still have a ton of talent on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyrie was crazy tonight. Like,
you have Kyrie, PJ, Gafford's really good. I mean, I don't know who else was out. I feel like the Mavs are missing one of their guys too. They had Clay, obviously, who started really hot. Jack, you the injury report, Andy?
Give me a sec there, George Blah. On the
Speaking of George, another windmill call when it was just a regular dunk. God, you love doing that, eh?
Hey, I don't think we've ever discussed this. Does he knows that's not a windmill. That's his thing now. He has to know that a windmill is not a tomahawk.
Jack, he's a geriatric, dude. I don't know if he knows what he's gonna have for what he had for breakfast this morning.
Stop.
What a windmill is.
Stop.
Well, I tell you what,
this is not a George Blaha slander.
I'm just being honest. Like Kyle, he's 80 years old.
Does he call the Michigan State games basketball or
just
football?
Yeah, he does on the radio.
Can I ask? Because I must admit, like before, like I was starting to think like it's time for Johnny Cade. Like I'm not saying Johnny's the guy long term, but I really enjoy when he's doing play-by-play because of the energy. But George last game against the Pacers, he won me right back. Because you guys listening to him just on Halliburton and Miles Turner sometimes, but man, he was good. I was like, he's just like one of us. Like I loved him.
I could do without all the nonsense though, like not knowing which players doing what and just.
Yes, this season has been worse than normal. I will say, like, there's been more of the like off the glass when it clearly wasn't off the glass. Like there's definitely been more of those things. Like I'll give it that. Like he
has earned the right to a degree to go out on his own terms.
Right.
But like,
and I think,
if it gets much worse, like you gotta take him off. Just for the viewing experience. I watched the Pistons broadcast tonight. I'm sorry, I can't do George for another 2 years. I'll tell you that much.
It's tough because like you say, he's earned the right. Like I don't know how long. It's like 40 years or something. It's nearly 50. Whatever it is, he's earned the right to go out on his own terms. But the other day against the Rockets game, he called Sasser like a man when the Pistons finished the shot. I was just like. I get maybe you can't see, but like It's a Pistons at the ball. It's just good.
Kyle's right. We don't have to turn this into a George Blaha slander, but
It's not. It's funny. Like we're not saying.
I know it is funny, but at the same time, it's like, gosh, like I really would like a competent announcer next to Greg Kelser to watch.
So to recap, after Cade put up 40 points, after he's announced as an All-Star, we spent 25 minutes talking about Stu's mental health and George Blaha's inability to.
Hey, I already said my piece for Cade's All-Star appearance. All right, I already said my piece on that.
I think we've lost our way a bit here. Can I ask you?
Aaron's calling maybe me or the panel of us soy. So either I'm a soy boy or we're all soy boys, according to Aaron.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm thinking of soy milk.
Oh no, like a soy boy is like a term for like a beta male type deal, like a that kind of thing. At least I think that's what he's saying.
I'm sensitive and have emotions.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Man, emotional maturity is so lame.
It sucks.
Hang on. Devon, this did not happen.
No, when did this happen?
This did not happen.
I don't believe it. I need a clip. I need evidence. Give me receipts.
Can I ask you both then? Trade deadline is in less than a week or a week from today. Kyle, you go first. What's going to happen?
Gosh, I don't know, Jack. Everything's changing so fast. We got a De'Aaron Fox thing. It's like I'm still catching up. They're going to use their cap room somehow. They're looking for first. They might actually get one. Last deadline, I remember people telling people, "You're crazy if you think you're going to get a first to get any salary." It's just not the market. But this, with the type of moves that are happening and the desperation to get them done, they could end up getting a slightly protected first or like a mediocre first just to help facilitate something. I would not be surprised if that's still the most likely route. Because of the De'Aaron Fox moves, the Jimmy Butlers, on the Brandon Ingrams, like there's some big names and big salary that are trying to get moved around. So I think that could happen. Very, very, very likely. Or they do make a move, or both. This is obviously because they can also aggregate that. So anything they bring in, right, they can immediately flip if they need to. And they still have that room exception. So I would love to see them go get Kobe White. I think that's Kobe or Lonzo, but maybe Kobe might actually even be a better fit than Lonzo at this point for what I think the bench needs is someone who can actually put pressure on the rim and distribute. And he's big, so he can play next to Sasser, and Sasser can move into that more scoring role just to kind of keep things fresh. So that's kind of where I would like to see some movement there. And I think it's reasonable they could do that.
Is YouTube user right? I obviously didn't read Omari's article, but did he really say we're going to trade 5 seconds for Vooch?
Omari had an article saying what they could do if they were going to make a swing move, and 5 seconds for Vooch was definitely one of his swing moves. I wouldn't call that a swing move. 5 seconds is a lot of picks, but I would not be trading 5 seconds for Vooch if it were me.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. There's a lot of picks in general. I mean, you could argue that. I mean, it depends. It depends on the.
That's a Sadiq Bey.
You could argue that 5 seconds is worth, depending on where it's positioned. The first, I mean, that's more valuable than a first, depending on what you want to do. But if it's super heavily protected. Jack, to answer your question, I think that they are going to do exactly what Kyle laid out first. I think they are going to be a facilitator. They're going to try their very best to get a first. I think they will get a first. I think it'll be heavily protected. So I think it'll be pick 15 or later type of protect. I mean, Kyle, I guess how deeply can you protect first round picks?
I don't know if there's a rule about it, but I think the one thing about protected picks is that means they have to have other picks that it can be tied to, or second round picks. And all the teams that are needing to make facility type moves don't really have consecutive picks to do protections. They don't have a lot of seconds either. So it's probably going to be unprotected, or one they already know is really bad. So the Cavs 2025, right? Something like that.
Oh, got you. Yeah. I guess if that's because I can't see him getting an unprotected pick that could turn out down the line a 2028 or 2029, something that could actually become a valuable asset if things go haywire, which in the NBA they do. Teams can fall apart in a New York minute, obviously, like we saw with the Nets, who made all those moves and then immediately had to back out of them, and then all those picks they traded away became super valuable. I obviously don't think anything like that happens, but it'll be interesting to see what ideally, if this was any way possible, I don't spend nearly as much time as Kyle on this. If they could somehow get a player that could help a little bit with the ball handling role and still get a pick. I don't know how possible or likely that is. I don't think you're going to get both, but if it was somebody who could help in a pinch and a pick, maybe that would be my best scenario, because I don't think it's the time to swing for anything, even if you could.
Yeah, so something like that is definitely possible. It just depends on what deals. That's where if Levine is part of this mega deal with them going to the Bucks or something, and they also want to get off Kobe White's salary, and the Pistons are helping facilitate other things, there's a potential there, right? Or if they get Javon Carter would be another name, or Lonzo, because he gets a lot of money. So if they send Tech out and they bring Lonzo in, but it helps facilitate the Suns getting Beal to where he needs to go. That's how it would happen.
Yeah.
It would be probably a Suns pick or one of those types of deals. The Warriors maybe, but I don't think they're going to spend a lot of their first trying to get Jimmy. So,
that's the crazy thing. I feel like this trade deadline, it's going to be the most convoluted trades ever. It's just going to be convoluted, just pure chaos.
Well, what have we got? Jimmy, we got Fox. Those two.
Well, those are the dominoes that have to fall. I feel there will be more on the margin moves, but nothing happens until they go.
Yeah. The word right now is that the Jimmy Butler deal is definitely holding up. Keith Smith was reporting that there's deals already in place from facilitator teams that they're just waiting on, because some of the guys in those deals that have already been agreed to in principle, would be part of a Jimmy facilitation deal. He has not said who or what teams. I haven't had the gall to email him yet and ask him, just out of curiosity, but so it is definitely holding it up. So that's definitely been reported. But yeah, Jimmy and the De'Aaron Fox deals are going to be the first two to go, most likely. You have Brandon Ingram, Cam Johnson still talking. Levine still has a big market. Vooch, the Warriors still are looking at Vooch. The Bucks are trying to move Middleton and Portis to upgrade. They're looking to upgrade. The Sixers are fire sailing right now to keep their pick. And so there's a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers. So it could be very crazy, or it could all be one 5-team mega deal and it gets washed out, and that would still be crazy too. So,
but the Pistons have to do something. They have to do. It's just so whatever happens. I'm with you, Cody. If they can get some form of ball handler that's can be part of a rotation and a pick, I'll be. That's definitely the best outcome for me as well.
But I think the nice part about the deadline, regardless, is the Pistons are in position to get better somehow.
Yeah,
they're very well positioned to get better somehow. It's just a matter of what Trajan wants to do, and based on everything he said, I don't think he's playing for the short term. I don't think Trajan's playing for this year. We're making the push, because you look at the East, man, they're making the playoffs or the play-in, regardless of what.
Right.
So
which is still exceeding expectations. So it's as in before the season. So he's kind of, as much as I know just for myself, I'm man, I feel if they make this little move, they can really get to the 6th seed. It's they kind of don't need to do that. Even going and getting Kobe White, unless you can get him without giving up much, it just goes against what Trajan said the whole time about
right. He's definitely not going to sell the farm for a Brandon Ingram move, again, unless the value dictates it, right? He's not going to give up first, he's not going to give up future firsts or anything like that. He's not going to trade away Ivy, probably not even Duran. Like, he's not going to trade away any of those guys. Like, we're talking if he can move, and he's probably not going to trade the vets. Honestly, I don't see anything that requires THJ to go out. I don't think it's happening. As much as I would love to see CJ or something like that, I think could really help this team. Like, I think that's ultimately a win. I think that would be a good value proposition. I just don't see him doing it from a locker room standpoint because the vibes are just too high. Like, and the vets have been so good.
You don't think THJ could be included in the deal with another player coming back?
Say that again.
At the point where you don't think they need to do it?
I didn't say they don't need to do it. I don't think they're gonna make that move. I think they're gonna say the vets in the locker room are more important than increasing our, like, getting one more playoff win or increasing our seeding.
No, but I'm saying if it was required for the facilitation. If they sent out Hardaway and there was a team they could find that valued Hardaway and it helped them get a better pick in the deal, could you see them doing that? No.
No, I don't think they will. I don't think they would. They would have to be blown away by an offer to do something like that. So I think that's my point. Is like, I think they are going to make something to try to shore up some of those weaknesses. And I think it'd be malpractice not to. Like, if we get from the deadline and they don't have a secondary scorer or a facilitator that can really help ease the burden on Cade and don't give them the best chance to compete in the play-in, then I think, like, what do they need another second or two for? We already have 12. Like, that's kind of, and I don't mind if they spend 3 of those to get a really good, like, piece that could help moving forward. But Kobe White's a guy who can stay. He's not that, like, you can use him. He can be in the guard rotation regardless of what Ivy's doing. And he can be Ivy insurance in case you don't want to pay him $40 million or whatever. You know, like, those are things where I think I don't mind using second round picks and Fontecchio to get something done. But it's not.
What do you think about this? I haven't even thought about this. I don't think it's very realistic. But what do you think about Devon's comment here? Jack, can you throw it up on the stage?
This
do you
one?
think that's even possible?
I don't know if the Wolves want to get rid of Connolly. Like, there's been nothing. No rumors or anything.
Even if they did, do you think they'd give the Pistons back their pick to take him?
No. No, they would not give up a pick that's gonna convey. Like,
because it conveys next year, doesn't it?
No matter what. It's like they're gonna get this pick for this offseason.
Barring there's still potential we get it back, right?
I meant, like, the protections are fully gone after this year. Even like
no, it's still top 9.
Oh my God.
Like, it's protected through 2027.
Yeah, but I thought this year was top 13 protected, and that's why people were saying if we were like the 10 seed and we lost in a play-in, we could still get our pick back.
Yeah,
that's technically true.
Yes, but
the Pistons,
there's an 85. There's a higher than 50% chance of pick and base.
Right, and so yeah, I think that pick is too valuable at this point. Just, they're not going to give that away on a salary dump. They don't need to get under the second apron that badly for that. It would have to be a bigger move. Like, we would be, if we were going to take on Randall's contract, you might get the pick back.
I have heard rumblings about that.
If they would send Tobias for Randall and take the pick, right? Like, that's the kind of thing that, like, you might get there because Tobias will be more value add. I don't think the Pistons are worried about getting their pick back anyway. Like, I don't think they're worried about it. So
no, I think they'd probably rather open it up at this point.
Well, if they get it back, then all the protections go away, and you have all of them again, and you get to keep this year's pick. So it's valuable.
I was saying more that the pick doesn't convey. Like, if they got it back in the trade.
Yeah, at this point, I think they pivoted from trying to keep their pick or seeing to be competitive to still get it to Cade is an all-star. We're a 6 seed where we're at. Let's let it convey. Let's get all of our future picks back, and have room to rumble this summer because they're going to have to make a move soon.
I know you're talking about that, Kyle. And Kyle, this is the last offseason, right? Or is it? There's potential.
I mean, technically, it's technically already passed. Like,
yeah, because that's what I was going to say. I was big on the CJ thing up until yesterday when Harry Morris, who's been on here before, had me on his podcast, and his task was to put together a team for the next, we had to do the trade deadline this season, off season, the next trade deadline. And I was like, wow, you take on CJ's money next year, that plus Cade and Tobias, wow, that's a lot of money. Because Cade's extension's 40 million next year. So he goes from being 15 to 40. So that's why I was more against the CJ one now, as much as I like him as the player. Because I was like, wow. And I know you can move him and Tobias next year if you have both, but what if you couldn't? You've got these two guys on 60 mil, both useful players, but yeah.
The counter to that, Jack, though, is if they don't spend it now because they have 14 million cap room now, that all goes away if they don't use it or use it on expirings. Because most likely they're going to, depending on what they want to do at THJ, they could be an over the cap team. That very well may be the most likely route is they won't even have cap space this summer. And so having those guys on salary slots now that you can then trade later or use, because they'll both be expiring. So worst case, they go away and then you're having to deal with Ivy's extension. So having money on the books now, but still being under the luxury tax is ideal because then you have Ivy and Duran are coming through. You have big cap holds for those guys because Ivy was a top 5 pick. So his cap hold is 30 million, right? So you're not so that's kind of where you kind of lose a lot of that anyway. So it's interesting. It really is. They still have some flexibility.
It's I was just wow, this is too complicated for me. I was in the spot track. I was like, this is I can see. It's just incredibly difficult, to navigate. It's just not as simple as I was even trying to work out how to get Miles Turner. It was just, and I know that's not going to happen, but it's crazy. When you start looking ahead, even Ron, I almost you forget how much he makes as a top 5 pick. Doesn't matter the talent of the class, he makes the same as Jaden Ivey. So, it's crazy, and I can see why Trajan's just, it's definitely not the right time to swing in my mind. For a huge, unless I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's what it is about is maximizing that 14 million, using it to get something, whether it's an asset or whether it's getting someone else on the books that can increase your spending power later. Right. That's why some guys are literally we'll pay this guy just so we can have his salary now that we're above the cap. So we have it to trade with. Otherwise we lose that. The Suns are screwed because they any of those salaries that they lose, it doesn't get them low enough to create cap room. They can't sign people with that then. So you need it as trade chips or trade exceptions. And so that's where if you bring in CJ, let's say he's terrible but he's cheap, right? Okay, let's send a bunch of seconds out. And even if we have to dump him into someone else's cap room next summer, that's the $30 million TPE that we can use to bring in somebody else later within a year, right? So those are the kind of things that the Pistons are going to have to start doing now that Cade's extension is starting, especially if he makes all NBA. That's another, it goes from 38 million. It goes from 38 million to 46 million starting. Wow. And so
then when you include that goes back to why it is maybe good then to have a CJ contract and Tobias because you can trade them.
Yeah. Right. As long as they're not negative value, right? As long as they're, you know, it's better if they're at least neutral, right? If they're, you can do it terrible, but then you have to get off the contract.
Yeah.
Versus having a neutral, you can use that to at least match in trades and not view it as terrible.
Yeah. No, I'm with you now. It's maybe I was going to keep talking about the trade deadline, but do you think if Trojan just gets a first round pick and doesn't necessarily bring in that ball handling player we're talking about, do you still think that's a bad move just for, I think you were talking about it a bit earlier when you're saying the load on Cade right now, regardless of if it's playoffs is the full intention here. Do you think it's a bad idea not to go out and find a ball handler just because you're putting so much on Cade every single night? Like, would you be concerned about his health, or I guess him wearing down is a better way to put it?
I think you're definitely setting yourself up for him to not be at his full strength when it comes to playoff time. When the physicality goes up, when the whistle, he already has a terrible whistle, right? He only had 3 free throw attempts tonight, a 40-point game with 3 free throw attempts, and one of them was a tech.
Oh, what's it? There you go. That's insane.
Yeah, it was a 3-second violation, and they let him shoot it because he wasn't in rhythm yet.
That's insane.
So So my point being is like he won't. I think we saw it the last game, the game right before this when they were playing the Pacers. Like his legs weren't there because they were blitzing him from the jump. Full court press, and no one could help him bring up. Like that was crazy, and that whole game was just a nightmare. But it just showed you like this is what teams will start doing because it works. Like
no, it does.
Yeah,
it's and especially if you're in a playoff series, if they get there, like teams are doing that straight away, when the intensity's at 100%. Because that's the only reason I can think teams aren't doing it the whole time is because it would take a lot of effort. And I feel like not just the player on ball, but like the other person coming to help. Like it's a lot for the other guys to recover. So I feel like the Pacers do it because they like desperately want to win that game. Not like there's a huge bit of rivalry there. And like, but man, it's no matter what.
It's familiarity, right? Like that is more like a playoff game because they've seen each other, right? So they game plan for it and they know how to install it, and that's what playoffs is going to be like. Whereas like other teams, they see them twice or 3 times, like they're not gonna install that for one game against the Pistons. Like that's just not. But the Pacers are because of it's in division and there's familiarity and so I think that's for me where it's like if you can get a first round pick, that's great, and if that's what you have to choose between, that's fine. I have no issues with that. They still have the room exception, so technically they could give like Fultz a call. They could give, some other guys a call to see if.
Fultz.
Say that again.
I said I forgot about Fultz, Marco.
Yeah, I mean he's still recovering, so he's definitely not ready. But like, if they need someone just for a late playoff run, at that point they're probably counting on Sasser having more ball handling reps and Sasser like hopefully improving. Like that's the route they'll go if they don't do that. Which maybe is the best thing. I don't know. Like
it might long term, you get more reps into Sasser, and then Sasser continues to figure out the point guard stuff. Like it's long term, it actually probably is better. But that's where I'm just, I could talk about this for ages. I don't want to bore everyone, but YouTube user actually has a question for us. Jack, can you and Kyle comment on my Jimmy Butler to the Bucks trade? Did you put it in the chat here? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'll bring it up. So Bucks get Jimmy, Miami gets Middleton, Fontecchio, Wendell Moore Jr., a Bucks 2031 first.
Yeah, it's their only first.
Pistons get Portis, Pat Connaughton, Tyler Smith, who's a stretch 4 rookie, I think, and then a Bucks second.
I'm not doing that. If I'm the Pistons, I'm not doing that. That's not enough. Getting a late second round pick is just not worth taking on. Portis for a year, Pat Connaughton for a year, and I don't know what Tyler Smith's contract is like, but like,
he's a rookie.
That's also
first rounder, I think, or early second. Because Connaughton's got money next year as well, doesn't he? I know Portis does.
Yeah, they both have player. Pat's a player option, I think, but
he'll pick it up.
But it's like $9 million for him, and Portis makes what, $12 million, something a little more.
Yeah.
I don't love that for the Pistons because it doesn't really solve your issue. Like it actually muddies up the 4 spot. I guess Tech is gone, so that does. Also, Wendell Moore Jr. is like the 3rd point guard right now, just so you guys know.
Yeah. If Connaughton wasn't expiring, I actually wouldn't mind this. Just the fact that you've got both Connaughton and Portis and Tyler Smith. And like you said, that I think they're all like 4s at this stage of their career. All 3 of those players are like just 4s. So I don't know. I like the thinking behind it, YouTube. I probably am saying no though, just because I don't want that Connaughton contract. as
If
well.
you're taking on
As
Portis,
Yeah.
Portis, you have to. It's like one or the other. Like I like Portis. I definitely don't hate that as the return. It's just not. I think you can do better with this space, or you can get a lot more. Like now, the problem is Miami and the Bucks. You're getting the only second round pick between a lot of. I think the Miami might have one other second round pick, but like, I think that's. I'm almost wondering if you can like turn if the Pistons in that deal would like send out 4 seconds to get the Bucks first. Like that would be like, maybe a better way to make that work. But I think I think there's better options out than that.
Yeah. Good stuff to YouTube user. I appreciate you sending that in. All right, we're gonna wrap it up here, Carl, but I want to let you bring up the final topic. Anything you want to talk about? Game tonight, looking ahead. I mean, I've done a bit on the trade deadline, but I know you've always got thoughts on that. So
I think this was a good palate cleanse. It's a game they needed to win against a team that was shorthanded, but still talented. So it wasn't a cakewalk by any means. But I think it was encouraging to see how the second unit found a way to get some buckets in. I think just again, it's been there's been a lot of bones to spit out the last couple games. We got to get some good steak to chew on tonight and get to enjoy Cade playing well. So, and I think this might be my last fan react for a while.
I was just going to ask you that next because I feel like it was coming up near the trade deadline when you go away.
Yep. Yeah. I wanted to hop on tonight because I knew I had some free time, but basically after tonight, we're packing. We leave in like 10 days or something. So,
wow.
And so I might be able to hop on like, depending on the time of day and the game, but
when are you back again?
We'll be back in the States like first week of May.
Okay. So the Pistons might have to make like the second round of playoffs.
We'll see. Yeah. Listen, if the Pistons make the playoffs, I will definitely be getting up at 4 a.m. to watch. But
I love it. Oh man, it's really exciting. I'm excited for you. I know this is obviously something you're very passionate about. So no, that's awesome. And if you have any time to jump on while you're away, just shoot me a DM. We'll get you up straight away. You'll get priority.
If we
tuning in at some weird hours.
Yeah, listen to that, Cody. That's right.
Well,
no.
No, thank you for jumping on. I mean, I'm gonna miss you inside around the trade deadline because I've actually got my brother's like Bucks party the day of the trade deadline, so I'm gonna try my best to get some coverage out about what happens. But nah, man.
I was gonna say if you emergency pod or something, if you have an emergency video or something, or a trade drops post game of something, like we'll see. I'll see where I'm at.
I'll hit you up.
I've been packing in advance. It's not usually I wait till the last minute.
Organized.
But I got a son now. We got too much to pack, so I got my clothes packed. So hopefully I'll have a little free time. But it's been fun, Jack. You're doing amazing. I'm so glad you guys are doing this. And so hopefully we have a lot more wins to talk about. And hopefully Pistons in the playoffs. And when I get back and my social media blackout is over, we'll have Pistons basketball still to talk about.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for always making the time to jump on. And have the best time. And we'll talk very soon regardless.
Peace, guys.
All right, catch you, man. Bye. All right, guys. That's going to do it for today's show. I was just checking some comments here, but I think we're done for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Pistons got a much-needed win, and we will be back for Sunday afternoon's game against the Bulls, which should be hopefully another win. But until then, as always, go Pistons.